Hello, my friend. Welcome to today's podcast episode. And today's podcast episode is inspired by what I've seen trending on social media, specifically TikTok, about 2025. And it is two topics that hold dear to my heart. I feel like I've got a good mindset, rhythm, and system around these things. And that is decluttering, keeping a tidy home, tidy space, and spending less. And I'm probably going to give some of my own thoughts and systems that I do for upkeeping our house because it is something that is important to us as a family to take care of what we own and what we have. And also, it's not something that drains and depletes a lot of my brain space and energy because things have been on a system. I'm also not the person that overconsumes. I'm sure my husband would probably say, like, do I order random things off Amazon that we do not need? But I make sure to tell him, like, honey, I am not as bad as what you think I am. And some systems that I have for spending, and it's not necessarily budgeting. It's really just how I stay spending in alignment to having my dollars go toward something that matters to me, something that's going to be useful, and not just random wasteful things. So really, the two topics we're going to be talking about: decluttering and home management, also sprinkled in with spending less. I'm your host, Joelle Cease. In case you don't know me, I am a Midwest mom of two, podcast host, podcast producer. I've been an entrepreneur for over 14 years now. My kids are 6 and 8. I love all things health, fitness, wellness, fashion. And my hopes is that Living in Sync becomes that go-to podcast where we have discussions about all of the things. It's kind of your comfort content to go to, where you know you're going to get some tips and ideas, but this is really just something you can have on the background while you're doing laundry, having it be a lighthearted listen every single week. So no matter what the title of the episode is, whether you think it relates to you or not, just know there's going to be more depth to each and every episode. So I want to start off with this episode on my mindset around decluttering and upkeeping a home, because number one, I see especially decluttering and cleaning as it's an open-ended, never start to finish type of task. Because with something even like the laundry, you're going to be wearing clothes. Your kids are going to be wearing clothes. There's always going to be clothes to wash. So it's an ever-going operation instead of a start, stop, I'm done with all of it. Start, stop, I'm done with all of it. And sit with that for a moment. Just think of it right now, even in the scope of laundry, or even in the scope of decluttering your home, or even in the scope of tidying your home or cleaning your home. It is an ever-going operation. It is a continuous thing. It's just like brushing your teeth. You don't just brush your teeth and it's good for the whole week. You got to do it twice a day. If you take a shower in the morning and you go to work and you get a workout in, you've got to shower again to not become stinky and smelly. So don't feel defeated by decluttering and upkeeping your home and tidying your home and maintaining your home and doing things like laundry or the dishes, because those are ever going and ever operating things that never really have a start and never really have a finish. And don't feel defeated by that. Just know that that's what it's like, just like showering. And there are other things in your life that are like that, like showering, like brushing your teeth, like putting your gas in your car. Like if you put gas in your car and then you drive it and you drive it and you drive it, you're going to have to, once again, just put gas in your car and not make a big mind drama, internal dialogue deal over it. It's just something that you do, right? And this is the same thing with like cleaning and taking care of the home and seeing it as this ongoing process. And really, I'm sure most of you have this mindset, but just in case you need the reminder, because there are a lot of times I do, There's a lot of times I need this reminder and I have to talk to myself and rewire it in this way, because especially when I was a mom with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, or a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, that were having bajillions of meals a day, lots of dishes, lots of always cleaning up the kitchen, lots of taking out the vacuum to vacuum up the floor, trying to reframe your mind of being so grateful for the home that you have and how it serves you and your family, and even how hard it is that you worked for the home that you live in, and how excited you were even when you first got it, or whatever it is. Our house, we did build it, and I remember having certain ideas and vision boards and pinning all these things on Pinterest of like what I wanted our home to look and feel like, and the layout and the design and everything. And even if you didn't build your home, just stick with me here, but just put yourself back into that process of like, I once really wanted all of this. Yes, it's more space to clean. Yes, there's a lot of white in my house that I have to make sure to maintain, or else it looks dingy and it gets scraped up and all that. But like, you want to, and you even want to show, at least this is for me, I want to show my kids that taking care of the home is a part of taking pride for what you have. So I don't want to hear them griping about how I always have to clean, or how we have to do this, or how we have to do that. I just want it to be a neutral thing of like, this is how we maintain and care for a home that we live in, because we don't have to live in this home. Like, we really don't. We could live somewhere else. We could downgrade. We could get something, blah, 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 blah. We are here, and we are in this home, and this is something that we wanted. And like, especially, my husband mows the grass. I don't mow the grass, but like with our yard, we wanted a yard that was sizable, so the kids could run and play, and our dog had space, and we had space, and we weren't in a neighborhood where houses were super, super close together or whatever. Or if you are in a neighborhood where your houses are super, super close together, how can you connect to like the awesomeness of those things? So then it really kind of drives this internal motivation of like wanting to take care of it. I like doing my laundry because I like the clothes that I have to wear. I like, literally, you guys, today, and I'm going to talk about a laundry system that's going to be kind of a bonus tip that I'll go on a side tangent on, but I did all of my laundry today, and I felt I wanted to do that, and I like doing it because I like having the clean clothes. My favorite clothes are clean, and you gotta have to reroute the mindset of like, no, I don't necessarily love folding them and putting them away, but I like having them all clean and ready for me to wear, because I like getting dressed and I have my go-to outfits, and I like when my go-to outfits are clean because I can just put on those few favorite pieces and I feel put together and I feel good, right? And same with like, at the end of the day, I do a quick cleanup of the kitchen because I just like waking up the next morning to a fairly clean slate. And now that my kids are older, they can help with that before we go upstairs and get ready for the bedtime rigmarole. I would do when they were little and they went to bed early. It was kind of my pocket of peace to like, kids were getting put to bed or in bath or whatever. I would come downstairs and pop in a headphone, put on a power song, and like power clean as quickly as I could to a playlist. And I made it fun. It was something that I enjoyed doing. And it's not necessarily that I had the headspace of it. I enjoy doing it in the moment, but I enjoyed the outcome of it. How can you reframe your mindset to enjoying the outcome of it? So let's talk about specifically decluttering, because I think it's fairly easy for us to keep a tidy home where if somebody was like, hey, we're going to pop over in 15 minutes, like we could bebop around the house and feel fully prepared for people to be coming over. And I think part of it is because we don't have a lot of clutter. We have things, we have items, and even in that said situation, my dining room table is covered in markers and paper and coloring pages and all of that, I would probably leave that out just because that's what my kids are liking to do right now. And I know that when they're older, the colors are not always going to be left out on the dining room table. We mostly eat at our kitchen island. So to me, I'm like, that's fine. That's part of living in a home. I don't need every single speck of every single area of my room, of my spaces cleaned all at once, but everything stays fairly tidied because we don't have a lot of clutter. I have followed for years Ali Kasaza, and she had a program, and I don't know if she still does this program. She's pivoted into other spaces and topics and things, but she had a program called Declutter Like a Mother, and she has a book called Declutter Like a Mother. I'm going to refer you to her book. Her book, Declutter Like a Mother, is so good for the strategy and the context of not getting rid of everything and becoming a minimalist, but like really aligning with like what's going to be important to you and what's important for you to upkeep, and tackling one area at a time. So learn this from Allie, and you'll learn about this. And if you get Declutter Like a Mother, great audiobook and great physical copy book, both very, very good. In Declutter Like a Mother, she's like, if you feel so paralyzed in getting started, don't go to the sentimental places first. Go to like the bathroom cabinet. And that's oftentimes how when I'm like, okay, we need to declutter some spaces, I think about some of those not sentimental spaces, like underneath the kitchen sink, underneath the bathroom sinks, and starting in those places. And I don't expect myself to declutter my home all at once. Why? Because we're living in our home. So for me, it just really depends. And I think Allie has a good system for like, I've never once even started decluttering, or my decluttering systems never work. Once again, Declutter Like a Mother, such a great and awesome audiobook or physical copy book. But now, I mean, it's January and I'm already thinking of, okay, there's like 3 to 4 spaces that I really want to tackle in January. And I tackle about one of them a week because I see decluttering and tidying and cleaning as an ongoing process. It's just something that's always needing to be addressed, always evolving. I don't make a big deal about it. I don't feel like I need to be doing it all at once, but then there's definitely some times where I just am like in the mood and do a big chunk all at once. Those times feel good, but I'm not expecting my energy and time to be doing that every weekend because I want to be living my life on the weekends. Like last weekend, it was the junk drawers. Why? Tell me why we have 4 junk drawers in our kitchen. We just do. They're just, and I don't even want to call them junk drawers. They're really just drawers that are random and hold random things. And actually, I know another bane of my existence right now is the kitchen utensil drawers. I'm not saying I'm going to declutter the entire kitchen. I am tackling small spaces at a time. And for me, that feels more manageable because we've got the grasp on the clutter that is in the home. But if you really need that blueprint for starting, oh, I'm so glad I thought to recommend Declutter Like a Mother for you because I haven't thought about that book in so long. And I'm so glad that I brought it up. And then really, as you tackle each area, like even if you just tackle one junk drawer, if you just tackle one underneath the bathroom sink, take pride in the project and the process that you're making. Take pride in what it is that you're doing. Take pride. Talk to yourself in your mind of like, I am doing this because I am caring for our home. Even when it comes to the junk drawer, you know, there's crumbs and there's dust and random little pieces. Like you empty out that whole junk drawer and you wipe it down, you give it a good clean, and you're caring for a piece and part of your home. And take pride in that, and take pride of the progress that you've made. The next part I'm going to talk about is really the spending side of things. So kind of my philosophy on spending, and then I'll get to like dishes and laundry and some of those like rotational things that are in everybody's home. And I'll share with you some of the systems that work for us. But sometimes I tend to not want to share specific systems because I'm like, everybody's different. My system might not work for you, but I hope it just sparks maybe an idea or maybe a new mindset or thought process or something. But when it comes to spending, remember, you can literally borrow things. So if it is something where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to use this a whole lot, you can definitely just reach out and borrow. See if it's something where if you're going to use it a lot, borrow it, see if you like it, and it might not be for you. Like for us, we use the crap out of our air fryer. I borrowed an air fryer from my parents and I was like, okay, I'm going to see if I'm going to use this a lot. Used it all the time, never wanted to give it back. Did the same thing with their cast iron pan. I believe it's still in my possession, but I didn't end up using the cast iron pan as much as I wanted to. So I'm going to be giving it back. Now, you might not live next to your parents, but if you do, utilize their stuff. I don't know. That may be so not a tip for everybody, but just think about like, if you have a really good friend, or if you're like, oh, is that something you genuinely use all the time? If they're like, no, I don't really use it all the time. Like, can I just borrow it a little bit to see if it'll be in our routine in any way, shape, or form? The next thing is I saw this on TikTok and I thought it was actually kind of genius, was this came to online shopping. So if you order things on Amazon a lot, instead of just willy-nilly being like, okay, oh yeah, I need that, add to cart, buy now, blah, 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 have a purchase day. So this one girl that I saw on TikTok, she says that she just does like add to cart to everything. And then on Mondays, it's her purchase day, or Sunday night or whatever. You could pick a whatever day. The day is irrelevant. Let's say Sunday night is when you sit down and you look at, okay, what's everything in the Amazon cart? And really like pause and do a self-check on like, do I really need this? And a good way to do this is, number one, a really great thing of why this is useful and how this did work for me was, I'm adding things to my cart because you see so-and-so post it, and just get that satisfaction of adding to cart. Okay. And then Sunday night you sit down and you kind of run it through the filter of like, would that have been just an impulse buy, or is that something we really need? Right. And I remember I added to cart. I saw somebody talk about these hair vitamins that they had. And I was like, immediately linked them to Amazon, add to cart. And then Sunday night I was scrolling through and I looked at what was like in my Amazon cart. And I was like, oh yeah, there's that hair supplement. And I actually since it was just Sunday, we were sitting around, I wasn't really doing anything. I looked at the reviews and I looked at what was actually in the supplement, and I was kind of like, meh, I have a supplement in our pantry that is very similar to this that I haven't been taking. Why don't I just start taking that? And like, I clicked save for later. So it got booted out of the cart. But then there was the laundry detergent that I like to use. There was also a CRZ yoga pair of leggings that I wanted to order. And I was like, nope, I actually don't even need the other pair of leggings quite yet. That would be actually something to save for my next milestone when I hit my goal. So save for later. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, and some weeks, there's more than others. But let's say that you get to Sunday and there's 7 things in your cart. And really only 2 of those things are things you really need, or after the moment, you're really like, I actually do really want that. You have then saved money because you're not just aimlessly adding things to cart and ordering them and then being like, why did I even order this? This wasn't even that great. And if I would have taken 2 seconds to look at it, then I would have seen like I already had something very, very, very similar to it. So having a purchase day, I thought that was really cool. And it's actually been really, really helpful for me. And then also having shopping lists on my phone. So in the Notes app on my phone, I have a folder. And it starts off with the places that I typically like to shop and the regular things that we get from those stores. And so those weekly things that are in rotation, they go on there. But then I also have like home, and then I have a list for both of my sons and my husband. So then if I think of ideas and gifts, or if they need new school shoes, or if they need more hoodies or new t-shirts, I make sure that those lists go in there. So then when I am out and about shopping, or if there is an online sale or something like that, I'm then buying things that they need to fill the gaps instead of just aimlessly ordering things that we already have that are in excess. So if that makes sense. So for example, I have one just titled store. So it's kind of like if I'm at Target, if I'm at Walmart, if I'm at Home Goods or whatever, I'll just kind of browse that list and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I broke a such and such. Let me just look and see if there's another one here. After the kids got their school pictures, I knew I wanted to get 2 certain sized frames, and I put that on my store list. And one time I was like, oh yeah, what do I need to get here? And I opened it up, and I then made very intentional choices based on what it is that we actually needed, instead of just going around the store and be like, oh, I kind of like this and I kind of like that. Oh, and even when it comes to seasonal stuff, like this fall, I knew my oldest needed a like fall spring jacket because he hadn't had one. He had grown out of his old one. I could just give my second the hand-me-down, right? And I put that onto a list. And actually, I was at TJ Maxx, and I believe I found an amazing high quality spring coat for like $17. And I was so pumped to find it there. And that was just because I had the store list on my phone, and I opened it up and I was like, oh yeah, there's this and that. I know that on the store list right now, it is socks for my second born because his little feet have been growing so very much and he needs new socks. So the next time, maybe I've got a Kohl's Cash, or I've got, if you know with the Kohl's Cash, or Old Navy. I know that like pajamas and socks are always a go-to thing to kind of get. So it just takes like a little bit of thought and a little bit of organization, and it can be really, really helpful on, making sure that when I'm buying things and I'm at the store, I'm getting things that we need, not just necessarily spending. And it's really actually kind of weird because I grew up with a family that loves to shop and loves sales, and they'll find things on sale. And sometimes I can't even believe it because I'm like, how did you score that amazing deal? But I'm the type of person where I'm like, I'm not going to buy that just because it's on sale. And I bet my mom is chuckling right now because there are so many times where she's shown me something really, really good and really, really awesome. I look at her, I'm like, Mom, I'm not going to buy that just because it's on sale. I'm going to buy the things that I know I love. And if that's something that's full price, I'm going to pay full price for it. I'm not just going to get things because they were a good deal or because they were on sale, because that's going to add to the excess spending and that's going to add to the excess clutter, right? So if you have a goal of decluttering and spending less in 2025, I hope that this episode was helpful to you. I just wanted to share a couple of our home management systems that work really, really well. Just a few little quick tips that I do to, tidy up each and every day. And then the dishes and laundry rotation. So for me, a system that works well most of the time is I'm not one that says like, wash your dish and put it in the dishwasher. Like, as I'm like, I am going to stand over the kitchen sink and I'm going to do dishes once. So in the morning, I'm like putting the breakfast dishes, my own lunch dishes, and the dinner dishes into the sink. And then when I am like, okay, I'm going to do these, I load the dishwasher and I start the dishwasher at night. And then they're clean in the morning. When they're clean in the morning, I'm usually putting away the dishes when the kids are eating their breakfast. Like, I get the kids their breakfast, I'm unloading the dishwasher. That is a system that I stick with probably majority of the time, just because we are in a good rotation where it's like, most of the time my kids are eating lunch at school, but we eat dinner at home. So starting the dishwasher for me at night, so then I can unload it in the morning, keeps a nice streamlined system for us. When it comes to laundry, I think that, I think I've talked about this before, you guys, and I am so sorry to tell you this, But my husband has perfected the laundry system. He really has. When it comes to laundry, it is each person does their own load of laundry. So I do my load of laundry. My mom's going to like cringe when she hears me say this, and your boomer mom is probably going to cringe when you start doing this too. But I put pretty much everything in one load with a color catcher because I'm not separating the blues and the greens. I'm not and the grays. I'm not doing that. I'm putting everything in there and putting in a color catcher. Then when it has dried, I put it back into the hamper. I walk into the room of whoever clothes that is, fold it, and put it away in the drawer. So my husband does his own laundry, and he also does the boys' laundry, but he does the same system where it's like we do our oldest. All of his stuff gets put in the wash, gets put in the dryer. And then now with my oldest, I'm getting him to fold it and put it away. And that's just the rotation. Like I said, I did my laundry today. Everything, I have one hamper. Everything went into the washing machine, detergent, color catcher, put it in the dryer. I take out the things that need to hang dry. I'm the only one that does the hang drying situation with my stuff. And then when the dryer is done, I put the clothes in the hamper, carry the hamper to my closet where all of my clothes are housed, and put them away immediately. This makes laundry not a task. And then outside of those days, that's when I do kind of a load of laundry a day, whether that be one of the kids' beddings and blankets, one of the random blankets that are sorted throughout the house, or maybe I throw in a load of towels if there's a load of towels to do. There's really like a load of laundry going on at least daily. I would say there's a load that happens once every 5 days. Mind you, depending on how many kids you have, if they share rooms, whatnot, and what have you. But trust me, I used to be the person that left their clothes in the dryer or left their clothes in a heaping pile in a random room. And when the epiphany happened of like, instead of taking them out of the dryer and putting them on the floor or whatever, or throwing them on the bed to fold them later, why don't you just put them back in your hamper, walk your hamper to the room, and take the literal 3 to 5 minutes that it takes to fold, hang, and put away everything that is in that hamper. And he was right. That is the simple system that keeps the laundry rolling. And I've actually got my clothes in the dryer right now that I'm going to go put in the hamper and go put it away. And I've done all of my laundry in a single day. But like I said, next week I will look forward to doing the laundry again because I'm going to wear all of my favorite things right off the bat, right? And this also helps with like, if you're wanting to declutter and get rid of excessive amount of clothing for like you and your kids and everything, picking like, okay, Friday night is when we do the kids' laundry, or just pick a certain day and time of the week that seems relatively consistent that you can do that works for you. Because I know a lot of you guys are like on the go on the weekends and in the activities on the weekends and whatnot. So even if you're like, okay, Tuesday after I get done with work, I'm putting in the laundry and we'll put it in the dryer and we'll put it away before we go to bed that day too. Just a system that seems to help. Now, if you have more kids, more family members, like I would say, I do we go on the tangent of what I was just going to say? I think we do go there. So many people are like, oh, you're so lucky your husband does laundry. He's so lucky that I do other things too. I'm not going to like give extra praise and applause for just helping and doing a part in taking care of our home in some way, shape, or form. Because if he weren't to do it, I would. And just like the same thing with the dishes. If I don't feel like putting the dishes from the sink into the dishwasher and starting it in the evening, my husband does it. Like we just know, and we both have the energy and mindset around, like we both take care of our home. We both take care of these things. I remember one time he had said like, "Oh, what would you do if you had to mow the lawn?" I was like, "I would figure it out and mow the lawn." I don't know what, like, it just I appreciate that you do that, but also if you didn't, I would figure it out, whether that be hire somebody to come do it or figure it out on my own. And so when it comes to taking care of a home, we also lean into each other's strengths. Like, I am very much the declutter person, the tidy person, the one who changes out the different sizes or the different clothing for the season and puts away, that kind of stuff. But then also my husband has strengths, and we try to lean in to those things, but we are partners in maintaining this household. And this does even spark the other tangent of like, I don't necessarily want to pay our kids, like have them earn allowance for doing and taking care of things around the house. So there's a difference between chores and responsibility in our household. Just taking care of their room and taking care of their things and taking care of their toys and putting their toys and things where they need to go, that is a responsibility. And also, I don't want chores to become a really negative thing. So I was actually listening to, it was either Chip Gaines or Joanna Gaines' book. I think it was Chip Gaines' books, where he talked about in his family, Saturday morning was like work, and then Saturday afternoon was play. And he's like, I just wanted to live my life every day like a Saturday, where like you get up, you accomplish things, you do the work, and then you go have the fun afterwards. And so, if we are going to be going out on the boat in the summertime, I'm like, okay, guys, we're going to go out on the boat. We've got to do XYZ before we go out on the boat. If we are going to the movie theater, this literally just happened over Christmas break. I'm like, okay, the movie is at this time, so this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to get done before we go to the movie. And it's just a part of the rigmarole of taking care of our home. And sometimes like what we go do is something really big, and sometimes it's something really small. Like, oh, we're just going to go visit grandpa and grandma. Let's take care of this, that, and the other thing before we go do that. And that's even kind of like my own motivation when it's like, oh, do I have to like pick up the living room and clean the kitchen and wipe down the cabinets again? I'm like hyping myself up and talking to myself about, oh, well, after I do that, I'm going to get my cup of tea, I'm going to go upstairs, take a shower, and then I'm going to be getting into my book or watching the show or whatever it is. So it's kind of like I'm always tricking myself of like, oh, well, when I get this done, then I'm going to do that. When I get this done, then I'm going to do that type of thing. And yeah, it's just I've heard a couple parenting stuff, and this is when you really, even when you're listening to my show or an audiobook or any podcast episode or any influencer on social media, where they're like, oh, I have my kids do this for their chores. Or I remember there was once a fitness person saying like, when her kids are fighting and not getting along, she makes them do these cleaning and chore type tasks. And I was just like, I want them, especially like, I want them to know like taking care of their home is just part of something they should take pride in, not something to see as like a punishment. And that's maybe thinking too deep, or like it's not that serious type of thing. Oh, that is one of the reminders. So I need to wrap up this episode and stop rambling. But those are just it's not that you have to implement the systems that I just mentioned to you when it comes to laundry, dishes, and whatever. What I'm saying is a lot of those things that are repeated, a lot of those things that are the open-ended, never start, never finish type tasks when it comes decluttering, cleaning the kitchen, laundry, those types of things, it is best to systemize it. What is your system? where it's just kind of autopilot every single week. So it's like, we know Sunday we get the boys' laundry done. Even if we have activities going on, like, we figure it out. We maneuver it and we time things out. And if it can't be done Sunday, it gets done Saturday or whatever. It's like, it's just so regimented and systemized and routine that we don't even have to think about it. I mean, one is even like when I send the kids off to school, I do like a quick 10-minute, 15-minute tidy of the kitchen and the main space, like just as much as I can get done. So even when I'm going to work in my office and I come out for lunch, it's not that I get distracted by the breakfast dishes or this, that, and the other thing that got left out because of blah, blah, blah. And then I have another anchor of like just a little bit of time before bed while the hot water for my tea is going through the coffee maker, right? So I hope this is helpful. Just find a system that works for you. Think to yourself, like, how can I just streamline this so I don't have to think about it? So it's just something that I do, that it's not like this big daunting task, if that makes sense. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If it was helpful, share it with a friend, message me on social media. If you could leave a rating and review, that is so helpful for the podcast. We will be getting some really awesome guests coming onto the show in 2025. But outside of that, I just want this to be the lighthearted listen that feels like I'm not telling you what to do, even though I gave you a lot of ideas to think about on the show, but also do things your way. Figure it out. See what will work best for you. The best way to do that, I think, is kind of like tackling each thing as like, what is the sticking point of this and what can be a really simple solution? Like, I am not one to overcomplicate things. When things start getting way too complicated, I'm like, nope. How do we just keep this streamlined and simple? So I've offered a lot of things, but maybe you need to come back to this episode and just take note of one thing that you want to implement and then improve upon it. That's how you build a habit, is you first establish the habit and then you improve upon it. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you loved what you heard or you want to share your favorite episode topics, please leave a rating and review. This helps the podcast growth and gives people an idea of what the podcast is all about. Something new and exciting that I wanted to share with you before we go is that we now have a Patreon page. This has replaced the Feminine Edge collective community in a cohesive place that is easier for me to manage and cheaper for you. If you are interested in our monthly classes, exclusive day in the life vlogs, Bible studies, community Q&A, and more, go to patreon.com/livingInSync and join for just $5 a month. Check out the show notes for any links or details of things referenced in today's episode, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next one.